Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. If you're here, please let me know. Say hi in the comments or wave at me or something. How's everybody doing today? I am so excited today to do our first sweet treat episode. So I'm going to do three things. Originally, I thought we'd do two, but I went ahead and decided, well, let's go all out. The first thing we're gonna do is, look, everything's going to be something to do with chocolate because Valentine's Day coming up, and just what's not to love about chocolate. So we will do two kinds of treats that are actually kind of sort of healthy, and the third one will be probably on the healthier side too. So without much ado, let's just get into it. So first, I have, let me show you what I got for my ingredients. Here, let me do another camera here. And here we go. There we go. So I'll show you my setup over here. I have these probiotic prunes. Well, don't get scared just yet. It's going to be okay. They are, dried plums. And I know prunes kind of get a funny reputation, but I think it's unfortunate. You'll see that we can make them really delicious, actually. Then I have some dried apricots. We will do something tasty with them. And then I have some mini chocolate chips. Oops. Some vegan mini chocolate chips right here. And I also have some white chocolate chips too that are also vegan. And then we have some nuts. I got walnuts. I got some sliced almonds. I got some pretzel sticks. And I got some almonds. These are raw, but you can also use roasted, preferably unsalted. You'll see why. And also I have these dried cherries right here. So let me show you what we're going to do today. Here's the deal. I'm going to make these little, I don't know what, I'm calling them treats, but you can call them candies. There will be these little handheld thingies that you can just, like bite-sized things, or maybe two bite-sized things. If you know, like those fancy truffles you see in like chocolate stores, or like Godiva truffles, or whatever brands you like, they are, I used to really like them. Like whenever I went to some chocolate store, like I would be all over that. But when I went vegan, I thought, well, it's kind of sad that I can't have all those. And then I realized that actually I can make these little things that are, what's not to love. So imagine a dried plum, or prune if you like, with a walnut inside of it, and then with dark chocolate, covered in dark chocolate. And all together, you'll be surprised how well the flavor of dark chocolate complements the flavor of prune. And, it'll be really good. Then we will also make a white chocolate type version of that, except for we will use apricots instead of prunes. And we will put a walnut inside. I'm using raw walnuts, but you can also use roasted if you want, like I said. And then we will cover them in white chocolate. It's right here. To be honest, I haven't tried the second. I haven't tried making this with these chips, with white chocolate chips. But we'll see. What's not to love, right? The first time ever during a live stream. What can possibly go wrong? And then the third thing that we will do, I was just at the grocery store earlier and I had this idea, and I originally just wanted to do two things, but the third thing will be kind of like this chocolate bark. I was at the grocery store and I was looking at, like, dried fruit and snacks and chocolate dealies kind of aisle, and there were these things that are like, like chocolate bark, if you may, like chocolate with some kind of tasty, crunchy thingies on them. So I thought, well, that would be really good to try and delight once again for the first time ever during this live stream. So let's just get into it. I know I like to drag it out for too long, but let's just get into it. So the dark chocolate chips that I've got, I'm using the Enjoy Life brand. I really like this brand. I'm a big fan of their big chunks. They have like these are the mini chips, but I really like the chunks for baking them in brownies or in cookies. They're just fantastic. But chunks would take a little long to melt. That's why I'm using these mini chips. And I'm going to pour out, let's see. All right, let me just measure it out for good measure. Oh, by the way, if you go under this video and click that little more button, not button, there's just a little arrow, it will take you to, it will show you a link for where this recipe can be found on my website, veganrunnereats.com. I call them 3-ingredient chocolate treats there. So yeah, if you are so inclined, you can go there and print it out, or whatever you feel like. Anyway, so we've got, do you want me to just leave it like that? Let me leave it like that, and then we'll see if if it doesn't work. So in that recipe on my website, we're using 12 dried plums and half a cup of chocolate chips. I'm going to melt a little bit more than half a cup because we'll also make our bark. It's, the second thing. So I'm measuring out probably about 3/4 cups or so. Yeah, let's do 3/4 cups. Ish. I guess I have 2/3. All right, I need to add a little more. All right, so now I'm just going to put them in a bowl right here. You know what? Let me move my other camera a little bit. In a bowl, and well, melting chocolate can be quite a ordeal because it can be really finicky. Like you warm it up for too long and it melts and becomes too liquidy. Or if you don't melt it long enough, then the chunks will, unmelted chunks of chocolate chips will stay in them. See, they're quite pretty, right? Yeah. So there is an option that most confectioners and chocolatiers use, which is heating up chocolate on a bain marie, as they say on the Great British Bake Off. So like a pot with steaming hot water with a dish on top, and you put chocolate on it, and chocolate is supposed to melt like more evenly. But I honestly am too lazy for that, so I'm just gonna use the good old microwave. So I'm gonna just pop these into the microwave. So let me set them for like a minute-ish. Yeah, for 1 minute. And then we'll see, okay? So the goal is that we don't get them too liquidy. If we do, then it's no big deal because we can just wait till it cools off a little bit. Like we can put them in the fridge and it'll cool off and get a little bit thicker. But my preferred way is when I put it in the microwave, I will go and stir them every so often. So they've been melting for 30 seconds now. Let me show you what they look like. So somewhere on the bottom, they're beginning to melt a little bit, but not so much. All right, so I'm gonna put it back for 15 seconds. Then we'll check again. Make sure I don't put the spoon in there. All right, let's see. So let's wait another 15 seconds and yeah, we'll see what happens. I love chocolate so much that like if I wasn't on camera, I'd be looking at my fingers. All right, 17, 16, 15. All right, let's see. Okay, all right. See, it's kind of beginning to happen. Nice. So since it's going pretty slow, I'm going to go ahead and do 30 more seconds. I'm not going to do 15-second intervals. Just go and do 30 seconds. Plus 30, start. Yeah, and so once we got our chocolate melted, we will set it aside to cool off just a little bit. I'm also trying to melt it to the point that not all of the chips are melted, that a few of them still remain unmelted, because as it sits and as we stir it, everything will melt and become just fine. All right, so 30 seconds, almost up. There we go. And yeah, I think it's still. Ooh, look at this. Beautiful. Beautiful goop. Lovely. Lovely. Okay, so you see that it's beginning to melt really nicely. But still, like I said, some chips are remaining. And you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it at this. Or maybe let's do another 5 seconds. Okay, so just to make sure that it doesn't get too thick as it sits there. All right, so. Well, it's actually been 10 seconds. Who's counting? All right, yeah, I think this is just right. Yeah, perfect. It's just beautiful. It's not too thin, but it's just melted enough. So this amount, 3/4 cup, we melted of mini chocolate chips. We melted for a total of 1 minute and 20 seconds, I think. Yeah. If you're using regular size chocolate chips or chocolate chunks that are even bigger, it may take longer, but so make sure to like zap for like 10 seconds at a time after 1 minute mark and stir them to make sure they melt in good. But yeah, this is pretty much what you want to get. Lovely. Okay, next up, we are going to set this aside. And I'm going to get my dried plums right here. Ooh, these are nice and big. I was concerned that it would be a little small, but I kind of like them a little bigger because it's like for 2 bites, not just one. Yeah, okay. So let me count how many. This is 6. This is 9. And 10, 11. Right? Yeah. All right. This is fine. 11. Good enough. Next up, I've got my walnuts. These are just regular walnuts that I got at the store that are marked like walnuts halves and pieces. We are going to use like a quarter of or like a half of, this is like a walnut half. And so we're going to use just a quarter, like break this in half and get, these 2 bits. And each of them will stick inside the prune. The nice thing is that they already have little holes. That's where at the factory where they are, where the pits are extracted, those leave little holes right there. So we can just stick it right there. And it can go all the way in. It kind of looks like it's struggling a little bit, but it's fine. And then I'm going to try to wrap this over like this. So like close up that whole, doesn't have to be perfect, but it sort of kind of is closed up. All right, so I'm going to set it aside. Next, I'm going to do just continue that with all of them. And after that, we will dip them all in this melted chocolate that we got. Oops, this is a little big, I think. But come on. Yep. There it is. Whew. Okay. You know, this is actually a pretty neat thing to do with kids, like maybe a little bit older kids. I have a 4-year-old, and I think I tried doing this with her before when she was 3, and like she loses her interest pretty quickly, but you know, it's no big deal. It's fine. All right, so we'll get 3 of them. But older kids, maybe like 5-6-year-olds, I'm sure you can just let them stuff the prunes by themselves, and they'll be just fine. Yeah, so you really can't go wrong here, which is, you know, great because, you know, a 3-ingredient recipe. Yeah, we want it to be simple and we want it to be right every time. Maybe they won't like look gorgeous and, you know, New York Times cover shoot ready every time, but you know, it's fine. It'll all taste beautiful in our mouth. Okay. Yeah, by the way, when you're choosing prunes, if you have a bulk section at your grocery store, you may want to check for them there, get them from the bulk section, because usually they are fresher there, and so they will be a little more soft and not juicy, because you wouldn't call prunes juicy, obviously, because they're dried fruit. But yeah, they will be fresher, and they're actually even bigger than the ones that are in packages. Yeah, so there we go. We're almost there. Yeah, I should have probably chosen to do less than 11, but it's cool. My hands are super sticky now. I think I'm gonna go walk over to the camera, not camera, to the sink and rinse them real quick. Just 1 second, okay? Okay, I am back. All right, so we got our prunes stuffed. Let's check on our chocolate. Yeah, still very nice. It's not too thick. I think it'll be just fine. I'm going to use just a regular dinner plate right now, and I will line it with a piece of parchment paper. You can also use a baking sheet or like a cookie sheet, which is what I usually use. But I was thinking that since I'm doing 3 things, I don't want to like go back and forth too much with the fridge, because after we cover these, we'll put them in the fridge, and then we'll start doing the next thing. So yeah, just a baking dish is fine. Okay, so now I'm gonna get a fork, and let's see. Okay. So I'm going to take 1 prune, this one right here. I'm going to just drop it and roll it around a little bit. Okay, lovely. And now it's going to drip, because no matter how thick the chocolate, it's still liquid chocolate, so it's going to drip a little bit. But it's pretty good, I think. And now we're just going to plop it right here. So we're going to do that with all the rest of them. You can drop a few of them at a time. You know what? Actually, let's do that. Let's do 3 at a time to make the time go faster a little bit. Dark chocolate is it's pretty hard to mess up, because you know most brands will work just fine. I've seen that, well, of course, not all brands of dark chocolate chips are vegan. And if you've been vegan for, longer than an hour, you probably have noticed that most things at the grocery store that are related to chocolate are unfortunately not vegan. That even some dark chocolate has milk, fat, or powder or whatever added to it oftentimes. But you really can't go wrong with this brand Enjoy Life that I told you about. Yeah. And they're not sponsoring this, by the way. I'm just telling you about it because that's what I use in my own kitchen. Right. So, yeah, I think we are getting there. If you know what, if you're doing this for the first time, you might not be sure, like, if the chocolate is like too thick or is it too thin, like, or whatever. So you can tell if you put the prune down and lots of chocolate starts dripping off of it right away. Like if it sits in a puddle of chocolate, that means it's too liquidy. It'll taste fine. Once it freezes, it'll just be a little funny shape, but it will be okay. So aren't they pretty so far? Yeah. And we are almost done with these. Lovely. When I was living in Russia, that's where I was born and raised in the ex-USSR. In the last few years, I mean, in Russia, I was going to college. So some stores would sell these things, like chocolate covered prunes with or without nuts inside of them. And I can tell you, everybody, like all college girls I knew, they were going crazy about them. I think it's also because prunes honestly tasted different. Like there were a bunch of different kinds sold there. And some prunes, if you've never tried anything other than that, then you just have to trust me. But some of them taste incredible. Like there was this kind, you still had to go to like a specialty market to buy them, but some of them were just incredible and were actually expensive. So there was this kind that was really soft and it was smoky. Like you would eat it and it would be almost savory. It would be sweet a little bit, but not like in your face sweet, and kind of smoky. And it was incredible. Like I could eat those without chocolate, but if I sometimes splurged on chocolate covered ones, then that was also quite nice. All right, so check this out. Aren't they beautiful? Okay, I'm going to pop these in my fridge. In the fridge, they don't have to go in the freezer because just the coolness of the fridge will be enough to solidify this chocolate. Now that I have all this dark chocolate left, we're going to do our chocolate bark. And I don't know, maybe if it's not enough. You know what? I think I'll melt a little bit more, just so it's nice and tasty here. And I see that it's beginning to thicken. When you see it beginning to get kind of like stringy like that, that means it's getting thick. So yeah, we'll probably need to zap it anyway. So I'm just gonna do a little bit more of chips and spread them more evenly so they melt more evenly. And put them in the microwave for 30 seconds. Okay, so 30 seconds. What I'm going to do after that, after it's all nice and melted, I'm going to take another dish, another dinner dish, or you can do a cookie sheet, like I said. And I'm going to put more parchment on it. And I'm going to pour the chocolate down here and put all kinds of stuff on it. It'll be delicious. Okay, so let's see. We see some chips still in there, but they are getting there. And you know what? I think for this recipe, they don't have to be completely melted because we're trying to create bark, and bark, once it hardens, of course, it's gonna, just all be hard chocolate. So it doesn't matter if right now there'll be some bits of harder chocolate or not. But I think they all melted quite nicely. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so let's pour it all onto the parchment. Yeah, just best if it's not like super runny, of course, because if it is, then it'll just go all over the plate and result in our bark that's a little too thin. Okay, delicious. All right, I'm going to even this out a little bit. Yeah. I'm very excited to see how this turns out because, like I said, I haven't tried this before. I just had this idea when I was at the grocery store earlier today. Yeah. All right. So I'm trying to get it as, evenly smooth, evenly thick as I can, but we'll see. All right. I think that's good enough. Next up, let's do our mix-ins. So I've got my sliced almonds. I've got pretzel chips. Not chips, but pretzel sticks. And I've got my dried cherries. I like a little bit of zing, a little bit of tartness in my chocolatey things. So dried cherries I find are just perfect for that. So I'm just going to throw some on there. You can also use cranberries, but I find that usually at stores they sell cranberries, sweetened with sugar, and sometimes that sweetness just kills all the tartness of cranberries. But, all right, anyway, that's good enough, I think. Next, I'm going to just throw some of these pretzel sticks on there. Just, yeah, good enough. All right, I don't want it to be like a complete pretzel flavored thing, but that's fine. You know what could also work pretty well? Coconut, shredded coconut. That could be pretty neat. And I've got my almonds. Let's do this. I was thinking of other things, like what else could we put on here? So we could put like granola or even cereal or yeah, whatever else really you want. And now I'm just going to press down so that every piece is, stuck in chocolate. Okay. And so let me show you what we got. There it is. I'm going to send it to the fridge just like we did the prunes. Now, the third thing we're going to do white chocolate covered apricots. And it's going to be fun because I have never used these before. I don't really know if they will melt that well. They are vegan white chocolate chips. Well, actually, the cover says white baking chips because, they can't always claim, stuff that, if it's, maybe there is like a standard for what you can call chocolate and what you can't. But ingredients actually do say that it contains cocoa butter. Yeah, organic cocoa butter is the first ingredient. The first ingredient on any chocolate products is what there's the most of. That's why if you look at some expensive chocolates at the store, the first will be something to do with chocolate. But you look at the cheap chocolates at the store, you see that the first oftentimes is something else, like sugar or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to melt them too. Let's cross our fingers, hope that they do melt. Oh, they look so cute. I actually tasted one of these earlier, and it does taste like white chocolate. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to put them in the microwave and see how they go. Okay, I set it for 1 minute, but of course we're not going to go a full minute. We'll do something less than that. Okay, I'm just going to put my dirty dish aside. Now, so it's been 15 seconds so far. Oh, the reason I want to do white chocolate on apricots is because I find that white chocolate complements the flavor of apricots better than dark chocolate. I think dark chocolate is just a little too strong for the, delicate flavor of apricots. Okay, this has been in for 40 seconds, and I can check. Yeah, they are melting. Lovely. They actually smell like chocolate too. Great. Don't you love it when you're using something and it works as it's supposed to? It's just my favorite. Okay, so, sorry. Let's put them in for a little bit longer. I think in the meantime, we can get our apricots out, right? Okay, these are always so nice and soft. Beautiful. I'll try to get the bigger ones. Okay. Again, 1 minute. Our chocolate's been in 1 minute. Let's see if we overdid it or not. Okay, so it's, yeah, I think we overdid it a little bit. I think it's a little too liquidy. So now I know that we gotta do less than 1 minute on these, but I'm really glad how it turned out. Actually, yeah, that's really nice. You know what? I'm going to put this in the fridge for the time that we'll be stuffing the apricots. So hopefully it'll, thicken up a little bit. All right, so I got my apricots. I'm going to try to get them all about the same size. Okay, so I got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Yeah, okay. With apricots, once again, if you can get them at a bulk section at your grocery store, is better because you'll see that they're like softer, more tender. Sometimes packaged ones may have sat on the shelf for like forever, and then they get all dry and kind of yucky. Anyway, so these will also have little holes over here. That's where the pit was extracted from. So I'm going to take my almonds and stuck them in. This is actually easier than the prunes, because we were stuffing them with walnuts, and walnuts are kind of gnarly. You can get stuck on everything. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Alrighty. This is the part that if it wasn't live, we would just, I would just cut this out. But, it's whatever. That's how it happens in real life, right? Almost there. By the way, wanted to say that I have seen some vegan chocolate chip brands out there that make milk chocolate, like vegan milk chocolate. If you're a fan of that, then that's great. Like there was this one that I tried. It had oat milk, like oat milk chocolate. That was its claim to fame. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty neat. I think I made the chocolate chip cookies with them. And yeah, they were pretty good. So if you're not a fan of dark chocolate, you could try that. Alrighty. And we got the last one. I'm going to rinse my hands after this real quick, okay? Because they're super sticky. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to go get the white chocolate out. Let's see what it looks like. Well, it hasn't thickened that much, but it's okay. You know, I don't know if it actually will because it's, you know, a little different. It may behave completely differently from dark chocolate. So, yeah, no point in waiting. I think we'll just go ahead and start on these. And I'm going to take another dinner plate. And this is a parchment. Okay, let's do this. Move these things aside. There's a lot going on over here. Okay, so let's put a few of them in and just let them bathe in there. Yeah, it's a little bit runny, but it is fine. If the chocolate is a little runny, what you can do actually, you can cover them in chocolate twice. So like I'm putting them down here, and if the chocolate just ends up like dripping off of them into little puddles, after we put them in the fridge to solidify, I think we can, if I have more white chocolate left, we can re-dip them in this, and so then there'll be 2 layers. That'd be very fancy. Oh, another thing, when you're stirring the chocolate, try to be a little bit slower, because if we go too fast, then you can get bubbles of air in there and they'll be stuck. So it'll be fine taste-wise, but it just doesn't look the prettiest, in my opinion. Okay. There we go. And we got the last 3. There we go. Got some air bubbles, but that's fine. You know what? I actually had an idea because we have so much white chocolate left. I think I'm going to drizzle some of this over our bark that we made previously. I'm going to get it out of the fridge and just drizzle some of this because I think it'll be just, you know, even better. Okay. There we go. You see them? I'm going to put them in the fridge now. You know what? The bark actually has almost solidified. Yeah, almost completely. See, it can see the edges off. It's a little, still a little liquidy in the middle, but it's fine. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna drizzle. Drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. Let's see. That looks even prettier, isn't it? And since I have so much, I'm gonna do it this way too. Okay. Wow. This is going to be fantastic. And you know what? I'm sure the prunes are already done, so I'm going to go get those out. Oh my goodness. Check these out. Wow. Just perfection. Just what I wanted. They are pretty great. Yeah, completely hardened. So they've been in the fridge for what, like 10 minutes maybe? Yeah, completely hardened. So this is actually quite quick to make too. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut one in half, and so I can show you what it all looks like inside. Mm-hmm. Check that out. That's nice. I think it's pretty spectacular. So what, how can we possibly make it better? It's, there's chocolate, there's dried fruit that supposed to make your tummy work better. Yeah, and there's walnuts, so it's actually kind of healthy. Yeah, I'm gonna taste this one. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, really good. If you're a fan of dark chocolate, really recommend. I still have a lot of white chocolate left, so I'm gonna drizzle some of it over some of these prunes. I'll set a few aside. And you see, there are these little edges. It's like a skirt. See this flat thingy? You can just, get it off or leave it because it's just fine. All right, I'm gonna put them a little bit closer to each other. And do the same thing. All right. Oh, lovely. So if you're in the mood to make some yummy and tasty homemade chocolate treats for your Valentine, it's going to be pretty great. Okay, I'm going to pop them back in the fridge. And let's put these over too on the side. These will keep in the fridge for a few days easily. I recommend keeping them in the fridge because chocolate can start melting if it's just sitting out here. You can try, but if it's particularly warm in your room, then in your kitchen, then it can start getting melty. Time to check on our bark. And yeah, I see that the white chocolate has solidified. I mean, it's a little soft, but pretty good. So bark can be, as rustic in its shape as possible. So I'm going to peel this whole thing off of there. Now I can feel that on the bottom it's still a little bit soft. So I just don't want to wait much longer here for the purposes of this episode dragging out forever. So what I'm going to do, I can just, break off pieces like this. Great. Yeah. So check this out. Just quite nice. I'm going to put it back in the fridge because it's a little bit tender. So I'm going to let it solidify a little longer. But first, I'm going to try a piece, of course. It's a chocolate lover's dream. It's a flavor of chocolate, rich, nice. A little bit of tartness from the cherry, a crunch from the pretzel chip. Pretty good. I'm getting our Gosh, they're not super solid yet. But you know, I still have all this chocolate. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get one of these off so I can cut it and show you what it looks like inside. And the rest of them I will drizzle with this white chocolate. Just trying to, because, you know, I don't want to waste all of this goodness, you know, throw it all out or just sit and eat it, the rest of it here after this live stream. All right, I put them back in the fridge. And as promised, I'm going to cut this plum right here. Okay. Oh, how cute. There's an almond. You can see the orange apricot, not plum. All right, I'm gonna eat it. Very nice. Definitely sweeter than the dark chocolate covered prunes, but you know, good enough for all. Like if you like your chocolate a little sweeter rather than, you know, all the boldness of dark chocolate, I think definitely good to try these. I'm going to leave all my stuff in the fridge, and we've been rolling for 50 minutes already. I think you've seen everything pretty much. So yeah, this is how you can make all these yummy treats, 3 kind of chocolate treats for Valentine's Day or anytime during the year, whatever you want. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching a replay. I'm doing these every week on Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern or 8 a.m. Pacific, which is the same time. Come watch me every week, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if you can, please give me a like on this video. I'll really appreciate it. Okay, so have a good day. I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.